Last time I did a video, the first little bit was cut off. So I'm just making sure I'm actually live right now. Yeah, looks like I'm live. So since all this stuff started happening in the world recently, I started collecting silver. Silver and gold are two of the only currencies that survive an economic relapse more than even money. And this particular coin, you might not be able to see it, but it's a Mayan coin. There's a Mayan figure on the front, and then there's the Mayan calendar on the back. You can't really tell what it is, but it's a nice detailed coin of the Mayan calendar, and there's a Mayan soldier in the front. And the Mayan culture is one that I'm very passionate about. I've been to Mexico and have visited some of the ancient sites like Chichen Itza, El Castillo, and the Templo de Ixchel ruins at the Isla Mujeres just outside of Cancun. And the ancient Mayan people had a strong theory about these times we're living in. They believed that we're on the verge of the end times, the end of an age, so to speak. I first heard these theories a number of years ago, about probably 5 years ago, after I was initiated into high magic, a sacred esoteric practice of connecting to my higher self and raising my consciousness. Around that time, I started to be introduced to these different theories and concepts that I'd never heard of before. One of them being about the Mayan calendar, and then other calendars like the Yuga calendar and the ancient Hindus, and some of the Egyptian calendars, and even the Christian and Jewish prophecies about these times we're living in. Now, according to these ancient people, we're living in the end of an age, a really significant time in our history as human beings. According to these ancient people, there's a great year that happens, a 24,000 year cycle that goes around like this. And as we go around that cycle, as our planet goes around that 24,000 year cycle, our consciousness goes up and then it comes back down. And then it goes up and then it comes back down. Now, the theory is that around 6,000 years ago, the beginning of the world, according to some of the ancient scriptures, around 6,000 years ago, we entered into the Iron Age, the darkest, most dense age of consciousness. And during this time, we're meant to experience hell on earth: death, destruction, chaos, confusion, separation, and duality. We forget our divine nature. During this Iron Age, we're deceived by the world we see around us. And we're led to believe that we're powerless, that we are weak, that we are just human beings. And now what we're seeing in our world, according to these ancient prophecies, don't believe anything I say. These are just my theories. These are just my crazy theories about the world. So don't believe anything I say. Find your own truth. But according to these theories, we're moving into a transitionary period. We're moving from the age of Pisces, the last 2,000 years of the Iron Age, the darkest age in the last 6,000 years, into the age of Aquarius, the beginning of what's known as the Bronze Age, or in the Hindu Yuga calendar, the electrical age, the age of energy, where we begin to understand our own energetic nature. A lot of people are afraid right now. They're afraid that we're moving toward the end times, the end of the world, the apocalypse, so to speak. But I'm not afraid, because these prophecies don't say that we're on the verge of the end of the world, but we are on the verge of the end of an age. And for some of us, that's a really exciting thing. And for others, it's not so exciting. It's not so great. You see, because according to these ancient prophecies, as we shift from one age to another, how smooth that transition is for us depends on the energy that we carry inside of us. If we have dark, dense energy, if we have a lot of pain and shame and guilt, a lot of heaviness inside of us, then the shifts can be quite uncomfortable, maybe even devastating or cataclysmic. For those who have been doing the work on themselves, healing themselves, facing their pain, their guilt, and their shame, overcoming their so-called sinful past, expressing their guilty behaviors, and making right with their Creator, will experience maybe even a miraculous transition according to these prophecies. My belief is that we are moving toward a time of rapidly evolving consciousness, where our human minds are expanded so dramatically that we're able to see things from a very different perspective than maybe ever before in our history. You might be experiencing this now in your life. When we see this chaos happening in the world right now, it's easy to slip into fear. There are people on the far left afraid of a virus, and there are people on the far right afraid of a vaccine. But then there are those of us in the middle who just quietly and humbly wait to see what's to come. Do I believe there's a virus? Well, there are lots of viruses. Do I believe there's a vaccine? Well, there are lots of vaccines. Do I believe there's anything to be afraid of? No. I am a child of the divine. I am a child of my Creator. I am a child of God. I fear only fear itself. Because the only enemy that exists in my reality is the enemy of fear. Because what I fear, I bring to me. What I resist, I create. And likewise, what I feed my energy to, I manifest in my life. And so, are we moving toward these end times? Well, I think we're moving toward a pretty dramatic shift in our world. And I think it's time that I start paying attention to it. I think it's time I start taking my hard-earned money out of the system, the fragile, not so safe system, and maybe put it somewhere a little safer. Somewhere I know will stand the test of time, whether that means an economic recession or collapse, whether that means the loss of electricity and the internet and power. I want my wealth and my safety to be something that I can be sure is going to stand the test of time. And likewise, I want to make sure that my energy, that my consciousness, that my soul is as cleansed as possible during these times. Because like a child can't understand an adult's vocabulary, if I'm not careful with the frequency I carry, then I might not be able to perceive or receive the blessings that are on their way during these extraordinary times. You see, some people during this pandemic have suffered. Some people have suffered greatly. Those who have subscribed to fear have suffered most of all. Those who are afraid of the virus have suffered. Many have caught the virus and have gotten very sick as a result. Those who fear the vaccine have gotten sick in a different way. Their social lives have been devastated. Their careers have been taken from them. But then there are those in the middle who don't lean too far to one side or the other, and who are receiving the blessings of our Creator during these times. I think that's the most important perspective for us all to remember, is that we are supported by the divine. We are supported by our God, Creator, or conscious universe. And it is not a particular loyalty to any way or system or religion or dogma that ensures our safety and protection, but only our faith. Only our faith. And that is what I believe is going to get us through these extraordinary times. Our faith. Our faith that we are supported. Now, the level of our faith is relative to the level of our purity. The less pure I am, the less faith I have. The more purity, the more faith. And so if faith is the greatest currency during these extraordinary times, then I know that my work is to purify myself, to purify my spirit and my soul, to purify my mind, to purify my body, so that I can rise in my faith. You see, our faith is relative to our purity. It's relative to our innocence. It's relative to our own steps toward personal redemption and salvation. Now, I'm not talking about a religious term here. I'm talking about a fundamental teaching that's been shared among every religion and every spiritual practice in history, each of which are rooted in ancient science, ancient philosophy, ancient psychology, and ancient geometry. Spirituality is not for the religious people. Spirituality, when truly understood, is a science that even the greatest minds will never fully understand. You see, that's why I believe that spirituality is not more widely accepted by the scientific community, because in order to accept spirituality, we must accept that we will never know all there is to know. And many scientific minds struggle to accept this. How can you enter a field knowing you will never know all there is to know? That all of your life's work will never allow you to fully grasp the impossible vastness of our universe. And so to move through these extraordinary times with grace and with ease, I know that I must purify myself. I must purify my body, I must purify my mind, and I must purify my soul. That's the only way I'm to ensure my protection, my safety, and my prosperity. Even in the most darkest, dense, chaotic times, those with faith can prosper. Even in the depth of destruction and war, those with faith can not only survive but thrive. And again, I'll repeat, my faith is relative to my purity, because my inner world creates my external experience. As within, so without, as the ancient alchemists said so courageously. As within, so without. To change this world around me and to ensure that I'm moving toward a time of peace and prosperity and happiness and fulfillment, I must purify my internal world. It's the only way. It's the only way. My faith is relative to my purity, and my purity is my ticket into the world to come. There's a place for us all if we're willing to do the work, but I'm afraid, I think time is beginning to run out. Bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. The time is now. The time is now. If we can't see it yet, what will it take for us to see? What will it take for us to humble ourselves? What will it take for us to face the pain we continue to run from? What will it take for us to courageously stand up for our truth? To stand up for what we believe in, not to stand up against the enemy, because the only enemy is the darkness I carry inside of myself. The only enemy is my own impurity. Whether I fear the virus or I fear the vaccine, both are the way toward more pain. Both are the path toward more chaos and destruction. The middle way is the only way. The middle path is the only path that will get me to the place I've always felt in my heart that I am to go. My faith and my purity are my ticket into the world to come. If you'd like to know more about my perspective on these extraordinary times that we're living in, I just released an audiobook which you can download for free in the description of this video. I'll warn you, it's deep, very, very, very deep. I share my healing journey and the miracles I've experienced as a result. I talk about my conversations with God, creator of conscious universe, and how God has told me that there is no one religion that will take us to the place we want to get to. There is no one path with all of the answers, but that they all leave breadcrumbs for us to understand deeper truths. Check out that link in the description of this video if you'd like to learn more. And if you want to prepare for these times, there are two ways to do it. One is to purify ourselves, and the other is to have faith. And they are one and the same. Thank you for watching. Please share this video with somebody you think could benefit. And let me know in the comment section if this information resonates with you and if you'd like to hear more. See you soon.